everyone, welcome back to a new video on the Eldenwood Craft channel. My name's Emma and today is the 31st of March 2023. If you have not visited before, a big hello to you. Thank you very much for watching today. I hope you enjoy and I hope you come back for some more. If you have been here before, a very warm welcome back to you. Notes about everything that I will be talking about today will be in the description box underneath this video and also on my website, which is linked below. I haven't done notes from the last episode for various reasons. Shop update, work has been really busy and I've had a stinking old cold. You might be able to still hear it. Which is why I didn't come back last week to record. I'm a week late recording this episode, so yeah, I wasn't really in the right frame of mind to be talking to the camera. You might still be able to hear a little bit of in my nose, but I'm a whole heap better. Thank you for all your comments on the last episode. I love to know what you're working on, where you're working from, all that sort of thing as you watch the episode. And I also had some really helpful comments and suggestions about toe-up sock bind-offs. So thank you very much for those. I am going to do a little project, I think, a research project about my favourite toe-up bind-off, because I quite enjoy knitting toe-up socks. Whether I prefer it to top-down socks, cuff-down socks, I'm not sure, but it's nice to have both skill sets in your knitting armoury, isn't it? So I'm going to do a little bit of a research project to see which one I enjoy the best, which one fits best. This all comes from a pair of socks that I had finished in the last episode, but I found that the top of the cuff was a little bit tight. So the suggestions that I had were to go up a needle size, to cast on some extra stitches, to look at the Very Pink Knits cast off for socks, or stretchy cast off, to do a sewn bind off, which I'm quite interested in. I have to admit, I do like a sewn bind off and I hadn't thought about doing that for a sock. And the Andrea Mowry sock pattern, is it her DRK everyday socks or something like that, was recommended as well. So I think I'm going to go and buy that after this episode and have a look at that. So there will be lots of socks coming up in future episodes, which I'm quite excited about. At home, it's been quite quiet the last 2 or 3 weeks. What's been going on? I went up to see my mum for Mother's Day, which was lovely. She lives up in North Yorkshire and I live in Somerset with my husband. It's quite a long trip. It's about 5 hours in the car, so I don't get to see her that often, but when I do, it's always lovely. So yeah, I had Mother's Day with my mum, which was really nice, and I also was able to pop in to see my daughter, who's at university at the moment. And I was able to pop in on the way up and have a cup of coffee with her, which was equally lovely, and she's coming home tomorrow for Easter, which is really good. I'm really excited. Anyway, you're not here to hear about my family arrangements. You're here for the knitting. So the first thing to share with you that I've been working on over the last 2 or 3 weeks in one of my Summer Meadow project bags is a pair of socks. I had been knitting on these in the last, so I keep getting hair stuck to my mouth, apologies. I was knitting on this pair of socks in the last episode and I have made some really good progress. The yarn, they're not a scrappy pair of socks because they are using the most beautiful yarn. I'm just getting everything out of the project bag. to show you. Right, so the socks are knit out of these mini skeins, which are from Bird Street Yarn. They're actually not, they're from when Bird Street Yarn used to be Mr. B's yarns. And these are a set of mini skeins called The Great Outdoors. They're about to fall out my hands, and they are standard sock weight yarns, 75/25 superwash merino nylon, 20 gram skeins, 85 meters per mini skein, and I'm knitting them with this terribly blowing out skein of Drops Fable, and that's not going to, everybody knows Drops Fable, don't they? I think this is colourway 100. I'm sure I had a couple of, yeah, I've got two. Right, I've got two Drops Fable ball bands. One is colour 100 and one is colour 114. My gut feeling is that this is colour 100. It's their off-white sock skein. Hey ho. I sometimes struggle to get words out. Anyway, you want to see the socks, don't you? You don't want to hear me whittering on about stuff. Okay, let's show you. So, the last time I recorded, I had knit probably roughly this sort of length of sock from the top down, and I am now done that much on this sock. I'm about to start the toe, and I have also worked this much on the second sock, and I have started the toe on the second sock. So here they both are. So let me just explain what I've been doing. So using the Drops Fable, I have cast on 60 stitches and done a 1x1 twisted rib, all the ends. I'll explain the ends in a minute. And then I have worked 14 rounds per colour, and I have added in 3 rounds of the Drops Fable in between each colour. And that gives this really rather lovely sock. I have knit a heel flap and gusset in the Drops Fable, and the sock is also, the toe is also going to be in the Drops Fable. Knitting on DPNs, 2.25mm chalgoos, and the yarns are being joined by using the clasp weft join method. So there are no ends to weave in at the end apart from your very first cast on yarn and your cast off yarn. So just 2 ends to weave in, which is brilliant. I worked out the number of rounds to do for each section by working out how many rounds I need to knit for the length of the foot, and I know that I need about 68 to 70 rounds for the length of my foot. I'm a UK size 6. And then I just did some easy maths to work out that if I want full colour blocks for the foot, so if I don't want to finish halfway through a colour block, I would need to I would be able to knit 4 blocks of a 14 and a 3, and that gives me 68 rounds. And then I'm doing an extra round in the Drops Fable before I start the toe. I don't know why, it just seemed like a good idea. Yeah, so that's this. These will be finished this weekend, I suspect. Really enjoying them, and I think it's a really lovely way to use a mini skein set. And there we go. Yeah, so yeah, I'll finish those this weekend, as I said, and then I will be casting on a new sock project, which I will talk about a little bit later on. Don't think there's anything else to say about those socks. So the next project that I've been working on, I should say before I get on to that one, I had said in my last episode that I was going to be working on my litmus cowl, which is a project that I'm using some beautiful Cami Jo Knits yarn. I haven't touched that over the last 3 weeks, and I haven't touched that because I've been really enjoying my socks, and I've been really enjoying a new project, which is always exciting, isn't it? So, living in one of my sheet bags, we have got a brand new project. I had spoken about in my last episode that I was thinking about knitting or casting on the Cumulus blouse or the Cumulus Tee, both of which are patterns by Petite Knit, and I have cast on the Cumulus Tee. I thought because it's summer coming up, this would be a more appropriate knit. So there it is. As you can see, it is a short-sleeved V-neck t-shirt style top. And I talked in the last episode, I think, about what yarns I might use for this. I was thinking about a Knitting for Olive cotton merino. In the end, I went for this yarn. That might be quite difficult to see because we're right in front of a window, but I think you should be able to see that. This is Sandnes yarn Tin Liner or Tin Liner. It's Norwegian. Yes, the Norwegian yarn factory since 1988. So it's Norwegian yarn, and this is a 53% cotton, 33% viscose, 14% linen. I have never worked with linen yarn. I've never worked with viscose yarn. I have worked with cotton many years ago. So I was quite intrigued as to what this might be like. I was a little bit worried it might be hard on the hands, unforgiving, and not that great to work with, but actually I'm really enjoying it. It has a lovely sort of handle, lovely feel to it. It's very soft in a cottony soft rather than a merino soft. And this is the colour, colourway 8561. I bought it from knit.co.uk, an online shop here in the UK. They might also have an actual shop. I think they might do, but I don't know where it is. And I did a gauge swatch. Not prone to doing a gauge swatch, but as I think I've said in past episode, I'm really looking to sort of elevate and improve my knitting this year, so gauge swatches are very important, as we all know. Didn't do my gauge swatch that well. It's a bit misshapen, but here it is. You can see I didn't sort of pin it out very well, and actually I'm quite glad that I didn't. One end is much wider than the other, and this top end I must have stretched out a bit more, and actually I have got gauge with the unstretched out end of the gauge swatch. So there's a lesson for you. You can see from the gauge swatch, I hope, that this has got a really lovely drape to it. It feels really nice. So I was very excited to cast on. And I started this about 2 weeks ago, I think. And here is the progress that I have made. I really like it. Just give you a close-up of the stitches and the colour. It's a really elegant piece, I think. I won't lie. So when you knit a V-neck raglan construction, you cast on up here at the start of the raglans, and you have an awful lot of backwards and forwards in stocking stitch. So up to this point you are knitting, can you see that? Up to this point where you join in the round for the V, you're knitting flat. So there's a lot of purling, which I'm not the biggest fan of, like many of us, but it was a perseverance worth doing. Just take that off. Oops. I'm knitting a size 5. The needles that I'm using are this will be quite hard to see. They're my Chalgu, actually I've got them in here, my Chalgu interchangeable spin set. They're bamboo needles that I treated myself to a little while ago. You don't need to see my needle set. And they spin on the cord, which makes for a really nice knitting experience. At the moment, these are very much my favourite needles. And these turquoise things that I've got on the end, don't know if you've seen those before, they are needle protectors that I sell in my shop. They're brilliant. They stop your needles sticking through your project bag, or they stop your stitches falling off your needles, that sort of thing. Yeah, so I'm really happy with this project. I have got, well, as you can see, I've only just recently joined in the round and split for the sleeve, so there's a lot of knitting left to do. But I think that by the time I record again, I will probably have made quite a lot of progress on this, because I'm really enjoying it. What I might do, I think what I'm going to do is to knit for maybe another inch or so till I've sort of established the body, and then I'm going to try it on, and assuming all is well, I'm going to knit the sleeves. So the sleeves are short sleeves. They will probably come down to just above the elbow, and then I will work on the body. The whole project is finished off with an I-cord, so the neckline will have an I-cord, the sleeve cuffs will be an I-cord, and the body will be an I-cord. And I'm really excited about that, because I love the look of an I-cord finish on a sweater, and I enjoy working an I-cord as well, so I think that's going to be a really nice part of the project. And it's quite nice to have something like that. Normally when, or certainly all the sweaters that I've knit, I think, have all finished with rib, and I don't particularly enjoy knitting a rib, so I'm looking forward to finishing with an I-cord edge. So yeah, really pleased with the yarn. I would definitely use this again. Assuming it fits nicely, I can very much imagine knitting another one of these, or more than one of these. I should say the yarn, let me just tell you a little bit more about the yarn. Let's hang that up. It is quite a fine yarn. It's you get 220 meters per 50 grams. This was one of the recommended yarns in the pattern, so it's a light fingering weight. So yeah, quite a lot of knitting involved in a garment project using this, but it's going fine. The pattern itself from Petite Knit, most of you I'm sure will know Petite Knit, and many of you will probably have knit something that she has written. Her patterns are always well explained. Not the most size inclusive possibly. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sizes in this. I would normally knit a size 3 or a 4 in patterns, in garments, in sweaters, and for this one, as I said, I'm knitting a size 5, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, an extra large. Normally I would knit a medium or a large. The bust circumference goes up to 52 3/4. I'm not sure if that's the finished garment. Okay, the sizes are designed to fit from 31.5 inch bust up to 51.25 inch bust, with 1.25 to 3.5 inches of positive ease. So it's not the greatest in terms of size inclusivity, but if I have heard this right, I think she is working on her patterns to improve that. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, so that is my Cumulus Tee. Okay, what is coming next? We are working through this quite nicely. Socks, Cumulus Tee. Okay, on to some other crafty things. You don't hear this from me very often, but I have bought some yarn. In fact, before I recorded this podcast, I was sitting here just tidying up and sorting a few things out, writing some notes, and I just checked my emails and I got an email from Woolly Knits, and this is not going to be helpful for you at all because this episode will come out after the offer has finished, but they have got a 20% off offer on some of their cones of yarn, and I've been toying with the idea of picking up a cone of yarn, and particularly I've been toying with the idea of taking Woolly Knits up on their offer. It's being run, the offer is being run in conjunction with the Well Loved Knits podcast. You watch that? I really like it. Lovely Bethany, who lives in Brussels, I think, just had a lovely little baby boy, and she always picks really lovely projects to knit. Anyway, so I gave in to temptation and I have ordered myself this morning 2 cones of yarn, which I will share with you next time. Very excited about that. But I'm also very excited about this beautiful skein of yarn that arrived in the post in the last couple of weeks. And here it is. So this is a sock set from Beehive Yarns. Beth, another Beth/Bethany. This is in Beth's Embroidery base, which is another superwash merino nylon, 75/25. It's a 50 gram main skein and a 20 gram mini, and it's in her colourway Grass Flower. You get 212 metres in the main skein, and I imagine it's about 85 metres in the mini. It's such a beautiful colourway. We'll make the most beautiful socks, and I will be casting this on once I've finished my socks. I've got a list of yarn dyers and yarn companies that I would really like to prioritise, I suppose, purchasing yarn from. When I do, I don't buy a lot of yarn, but when I do, I want to be more purposeful about what I buy and where I buy from, rather than just going, oh, I like that, I want that. And Beehive Yarns was very high up the list of those yarn dyers. I can't actually believe that this is the first time I bought from Beth, so I'm very excited. Yeah, And then on to non-yarny things that I've been doing. I showed you this in the last episode. I had picked up or purchased an embroidery kit. And I think I showed, yeah, I did show it to you in the last episode. And I said that I would make a start on it, and I have. It comes from a company called Boho Craft Studio. I bought this on Etsy. I'm sure I looked up their details online and couldn't find them other than on Etsy. But it was it was an embroidery kit for this. And what came in the pack was these coloured instructions, a little booklet with stitch instructions, the embroidery floss, and a printed piece of fabric, and the embroidery hoop as well. And as you can see, I absolutely have started it, but I haven't done very much. I've done one of the little baskets. I will be honest with you, I was a little bit confused about what I should be doing. The instructions tell you what stitch to use for which. It's quite difficult to see, isn't it? I apologise. The instruction booklet tells you what stitch to use on which piece of the printed pattern. And I got a little bit confused because it's very obvious, I think, that like here, you've got the basket, but you also have stitches going over the top. So I didn't know whether, and here you have the basket, but you have plant leaves trailing in front of the basket. So I didn't know whether to stitch around the plant leaves like I've done here, or just to embroider the whole thing and then sort of guess. But actually, you probably won't be able to see because it's quite faint, but as I started to embroider over the whole thing, because I thought that was messy, I can just about see the plant leaf print underneath, so I'm guessing that's what you're supposed to do. Embroider over the whole thing and then you'll be able to see. Anyway, I found that quite a therapeutic half hour. This is satin stitch, feels really nice. But yeah, I quite enjoyed that little half hour of embroidering a plant pot. I put it down thinking I would pick it up again of an evening, but I haven't. But I will do, because it's something I would very much like to get finished. The kit was really good value. It was about, I don't know, I'd say it was about £9 or £10 from Etsy. So we'll see how this goes, and assuming I enjoy it, I think there might be other embroidery projects on the go in my future. I'd like to have some of these to put on my wall. I think they'd look really cool. Some plant-based ones would be lovely. Right, that is my embroidery. Let's just put that away. And I think really that's almost, that is everything craft related. Just a little catch up on what I've been reading and what I've been watching. I mentioned in the last episode that I'd started listening to a new John Boyne book, All the Broken Places, which is a follow-up to The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. I've not listened to any more of that, but I'm very keen to get on with it. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. When I work, I'm recording from my studio. When I work, I usually have a pair of headphones in, because you can't actually hear very much when you're sewing. So I have a pair of headphones in and I listen to a lot of podcasts, or I switch between, podcasts and audiobooks. And the last 3 weeks I have been full on podcast listening, mainly sort of business related, productivity related type podcasts, but also some sort of lifestyle and other types of podcasts. If you're interested in knowing what I listen to, let me know and I might talk about it. I've also started a new book on my Kindle, which is the Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. I'm about 20% in. I'm really enjoying it. It's a book about it's set in the 1930s in the Great Plains in America during sorry, I've got something on my lip. During a drought, and the book is about Elsa, and it's going to be about sort of the strength and fortitude and bonds between women in dire circumstances. Really enjoying it. It's very sort of tense in a non-tense way. It's very much, I want to know, it's very descriptive about the environment and the very hard times Elsa is finding herself in. So I'm really enjoying that. I've had some really good books recently. I feel very privileged to have been able to read and listen to some really good books. So that is keeping me busy in the evening. What my evening routine, I don't know if you want to know this, but I'm going to tell you. My evening routine, we finish dinner about 7:30, my husband and I, and we will go and watch something on TV for an hour or two, and then I tend to head off to bed about 9:30 and read for half an hour or so. So yeah, really enjoying my books. The things that we've been watching, again, like the books, we've watched some really good stuff in recent weeks. 2 new series have started in the last couple of weeks. Ted Lasso, brilliant, and the last season, in fact it's both, the last season of Ted Lasso, is it the last season of Ted Lasso? I think it might be, and the last season of Succession. Both amazing TV programmes. Succession, we are obsessed with it. We listen to podcasts about it. We don't stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday to watch it, but we will watch it on a Monday after dinner. So yeah, the other series that we both were absolutely in awe of, not in awe of, that's, anyway. The other programme that we both really enjoyed recently was The Last of Us, which, was that on, I can't remember what channel that was on. Ted Lasso is on, I can't remember what any of these channels are actually. Succession is on Sky Atlantic. Ted Lasso, not sure. The Last of Us, not sure. I'll try and find out and put it in the show notes. But yeah, The Last of Us was really good. My husband enjoys gaming, and he had played The Last of Us, and he said that I might quite enjoy the TV programme, and I didn't believe him, so I didn't watch it when he started it. And then he said episode 3 I would really enjoy, for one reason, or not for one reason and one reason only, but he said I'd really enjoy it because it had Armand from the first season of The White Lotus. So I watched it thinking, oh yeah, okay, I really like the Armand character, and I was just blown away by this particular episode of The Last of Us. So we went and started watching again from the beginning, and yeah, it was really good. It tells the story of the game, but don't let that put you off if you're not into gaming. It was really good. The other thing that we started watching is Fleishman is in Trouble, I think it is. Again, I can't tell you what, actually that might be on Amazon Prime. Anyway, that's a series about a couple who are on the brink of, or are about to get divorced. It's quite humorous, and yeah, quite enjoying that for a bit of, I'd say light relief, but it's not really. Yes, there's some really good stuff around at the moment. The other thing I really want to watch is Shrinking. That's got Harrison Ford in, who I think plays a psychiatrist, but that will come after Fleischmann's. Anyway, I think we might have reached the end. Just a couple of sort of parish notices. I have my shop update. I can't remember if my shop update had been just before or just after my last podcast. In any event, it went fantastically well. Thank you ever so much if you came and had a look and made a purchase. It was my busiest and most successful shop update ever. So I was thrilled by it, and I have got I'm spending the next sort of 6 weeks or so working through orders that have come from that update, so thank you very much. As I said earlier, my daughter's coming home for the Easter holidays. We're actually driving up to pick her up tomorrow, which will be about an 8-hour car journey there, 4 hours there and 4 hours back. So that's a lot of knitting time, and I'm hoping that I will get quite a lot done on my Cumulus Tee in that time. But my plans generally, craft-wise, for the next 2 weeks will be my Cumulus Tee, finish those socks, cast on my beehive yarn socks, toe up, think about which cast off to use, and try and get some of my embroidery done. We've got Easter coming up. We don't go a big deal on Easter in our house, but it'll just be nice to have a few days to spend together. We talked about going off to the coast for the day, and we'll just do little things like that, just enjoying having our daughter home for a couple of weeks. And yeah, it'll be sort of working through shop update stuff and hoping that the weather's going to get a bit better. I'm looking out my window at the moment. I've got some big fir trees in front of me and they're swaying like that, and it's raining, and it's a bit miserable for the last day of March, but it's April tomorrow and that's always a good thing. So anyway, I will say goodbye. Do leave me a comment if you've got anything to say about anything that I've been working on, or let me know what you've been working on. Let me know if you've got any good book or TV programme recommendations, because I feel like I'm on a bit of a roll with those at the moment. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up, that would be lovely. Click the thumbs up button underneath and subscribe if you haven't. Because I love coming back to talk to you, and the more I can talk, the more of you that I can talk to, the better. Okay, I will say goodbye. I hope you have a good Easter. If you have got a break, enjoy it. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. It should be a couple of weeks. It might be another 3 weeks, but it will be no more than that. So have a lovely time over Easter, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.